Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. How we doing today?
Do you know what day it is?
Mm, just another Tuesday?
What day it is? Today's packing day for me.
Today is packing day for me too.
Yeah.
We
Tomorrow.
have our big retreat coming up this week.
Yeah.
Julieta's getting on a plane tomorrow.
I am. I'm so excited.
Very exciting. I have been putting together totes and I packed the gong and I packed the singing bowls. I have like their original boxes because my singing bowls are 18 and 20 inches. So they're really big and, they're very delicate. So if you so much as look at them wrong, they might crack. So I kept all the original shipping boxes. So I've got that. I've got the gong. I don't know how I'm going to fit all this in the minivan, but we're going to do our best. And
Magic. It
yeah,
will all fit.
it will. It'll be great. You want to hear a harrowing story? Speaking of the van,
Harrowing. Tell us.
sorry, I had to take a sip there. P.S. Look at my cute little mug, Georgia Storytelling
Storytelling
Festival.
festival.
Yes,
Oh.
what an amazing event that was. It was a couple months ago, but the fact that there's 3 days of literally people just telling stories, I was an absolute heaven. But anyway. So this past weekend, I drove to Atlanta for a 5 people boudoir shoot. So it was like a boudoir party, basically, like a girlfriend's
Okay.
party. And
Wow.
and it was, ladies that had known each other for 25 years and beautiful, gorgeous house, and we had so much fun. And I got a makeup artist from Atlanta so that my makeup artist here wouldn't have to go so far, etc. Anyway, had a great time. Had too much fun because I ended up leaving a little bit later than I had anticipated, which time wise was not a big deal, except it means I was driving through the mountains in the dark, which, as you know, is one of my least favorite things to do. And my little van, bless its heart, 16 years old, decided to die a full death um, right in the middle of what is here Highway 60, which is basically the darkest, loneliest stretch of road with no cell service in all the area. So as the dashboard starts lighting up in like a Christmas parade, I managed to call my partner. I am yelling into the phone like, I'm on 60, I'm breaking down, da 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 da, the whole thing. And finally, and I hear on the other line, so I'm like, well, he's like, okay, I heard an okay. So I was like, okay, I know he heard what he needed to hear, but definitely was not a smooth connection. Immediately the call drops. I can't get out to anything else or anyone else. It's a 2 lanes this way, 2 lane that way. So it's a pretty big stretch of road. So I was like, okay. I put on my flashers. My flashers are like weak. Like it was so like it was clearly some sort of battery situation because there wasn't even enough power to really flash the lights. So I'm like, great. I'm in a car that's the same color as the road in a pitch black, can't see your hand in front of your face area. And everybody behind me is coming at 70 miles an hour. No problem. So I tried to pull the car over onto the side of the road. I only got about halfway out of the road. So now I'm sticking out halfway in the middle of all of this. And I'm like, okay. So I knew that my GPS, I was like 11 minutes from the house. So I was really close. And there's only one way to get home. So I knew my partner would find me. Like he would just go backwards and he would eventually find me. And he did. And he brought my son and they did all the jumpy things and whatever they did. And which, I really should learn these things. Because I was like, all the tools that he's using, I could use that. I've never learned. So anyway, long story short, we managed to get back home like the next day. We had to like leave the car somewhere overnight just because it was way too unsafe at that hour. And we went back out it the next day. He ended up replacing a part. Thank God I have the world's handiest partner. and all is well and everything's fine. What's really interesting is the conversation that came from this, because I always talk to my kids about like the patriarchy, right? Like, and they've, everybody in my family, like they hear me, they understand me, and they're probably over it because I bring it up all the time. But here we go. Another perfect example. When I was in 7th grade, I was in this tiny little private school, and for half the year, they separated the boys and the girls. The boys went to auto mechanics and the girls went to home ec. And so I learned how to sew a dress and I learned how to cook a meal, which, by the way, I didn't do either really well in 7th grade. But I remember asking, like, why can't I go to auto mechanics? Like, my mom's car would always break down. Can't I just go to auto mechanics? And they're like, no, that's for boys. And now, at 51, I'm so mad because over the course of my life, I really needed a lot more help in the mechanic department than I ever needed in cooking and sewing and all of these things. So while I did sew a hem this morning, and I appreciate that knowledge, I could have YouTubed it in 15 minutes. And, I couldn't YouTube the mechanic issue while I was out there. So this is another vote for remove gendered activities from the world and let's teach everyone everything, because both things are important. So thank you for coming to my talk.
For survival, but interesting. I'm pretty sure girls could take shop when I was in high school. The problem is I didn't take home ec, I didn't take shop because I was, on my way to physical therapy school. I had to take all the sciences and all the, I graduated from high school with my whole freshman year of college done. So I started college as a sophomore. I was taking chemistry and biology and physics and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
But I'm pretty sure in my school, like, girls took shop if they wanted to. But the problem is now, like, the cars are like, it's good you have an older car because you can actually do things to it to fix it. Like, modern cars, like, you have to take them into the shop because you need a computer to hook it up to it and like figure out all the things. And
right.
It's
well, if you're my partner, you buy the computer. So he's got all kinds of little tools that he can attach and it'll tell you what it means. And, but like also we don't park cars in our garage because we have two-car garages and they're both full of equipment. So there's we're well prepared. I will say that. I kind of wish we had a tow truck. I think that's the only thing that's missing. How much is that? Is that a big deal? Like, I don't know. Anyway, so every time I think to myself, okay, I really need to get a new car because I did buy this vehicle when the kids were born and they're 16 now, but then he fixes it and it runs perfect. And I'm like, well, why get another car payment? I'll be fine. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm probably going to start taking a collection for Graciela needs a new car, even though I don't want one. Anyway, how's that for an experience? A weekend experience?
That's quite the experience. And I'm just going to say I'm glad it happened then and not tomorrow, because I need you to show up at Elohi and with all your equipment so the show can go on.
Oh yeah. Well, and the road to Elohi is a little bit more precarious in that it's very windy. It's only 2 lanes and there's a whole lot of area that are not good for pulling over. So I'm like, okay, well, everything's all brand new now. But I always think that what's meant to happen is meant to happen, and if you have to run a retreat without the 57 boxes that I brought, I'm sure you could figure it out. So it's all good. Everything we need is right here.
It is. It is. Here's a funny comment from the
I wouldn't know you without your van. You're so right, Tracy. You're so right. Oh, and by the way, all of you listening to this are absolutely sworn to secrecy. Pinky promise, put it in the comments. If somebody tells my mother, I will absolutely lose it. Like, we do not tell my mom dangerous things that happen to Graciela. That's too much. Pam, I love the sound of the road to Elohi. Yes, it's actually a very beautiful drive and I will enjoy it. Now that everything on my car is perfect again. So, yeah. Anyway, how was your weekend, honey?
My weekend, I pretty much spent the weekend preparing for the retreat. So um, it was good. It was good. Yeah, I'm like, I feel like until we get to the other side of this retreat, like that's the only thing that is.
Mm. Well, I will say, running a retreat takes a lot. And it's really fun. I've had fun with it because number one, I get to buy a lot of fun little gifts and surprises for everybody. So that part I do love. I am a consumer, I'm sorry. And I have enjoyed mixing what I already know along with new information. So each time we do an event, I always tell everybody it's so just as much for me as it is for everyone else. So I've really been enjoying just picking up some new information, relishing in some old information, and I'm excited to share it all. What's great about this retreat is that we have such a wide variety of experience and people coming with all different places in their lives along the path. So it's really going to be I don't know, just really, really neat, to be able to have folks that have never heard of chakras before and people that work with chakras all the time. And, folks that are looking to level up and folks that are looking to dig out, I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be the perfect combination of women to kind of let everyone go home with the realization that we just need to support each other.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I love the support that's already happening between the women. They haven't even met each other yet, and are already supporting each other and connecting, and it's so beautiful to me. Um, yes, like you said, this is a lot of work, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like these retreats are so magical, and coming out on the other side of them, like it makes every piece of work that went into preparing it more than worth it. So I'm
Absolutely.
so excited.
I think the only thing I didn't do enough of was climb up and down my driveway 57 times, which I had really intended on doing. So, good news is that forest bathing is a nice slow walk. So, and if I'm leading it, nobody can rush ahead of me anyway. So, we're going to take our time and we're going to
I'm
enjoy
gonna
it.
say I'm more concerned about the stairs in the house because, Florida, there's no stairs here. Like at least at my prior office, I would walk the stairs every day, but now I have zero stairs. Well, that's a lie. When I go to yoga, I have stairs, but I still don't feel like doing the stairs 3 times a week to yoga is gonna prepare me for going up and down 3 flights of stairs in this house. But
You know what?
it'll be a good workout.
We are going to leave so strong physically, mentally. I'm going to be live. It's going to be amazing. All right, let's do our question for the day. So I'm going to ask you, how do you honor the sacred in everyday life?
I love that because sacred is my word. And, sometimes I go to other events and things and I walk away and I'm like, wasn't sacred enough. It wasn't sacred. And then I have to really sit in the space of, what does it mean to be sacred? And honestly, I, I feel like it's being present and honoring what is. And someone even recently, um, we were talking about like things that are man-made, not natural, da 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 da. And someone said to me, "It's of this earth. It's created from what's here. It is nature." And like if you respect it that way, like it will change your relationship with it. And I'm not gonna lie, I do have to say I still struggle with like a lot of the chemicals, the toxicity, like we don't need that in our world. Like you see what it's doing to people. Um, but it is still part of our nature. And if we got more sacred with these things, maybe humans wouldn't be putting them out there. But um I feel like yes, like my whole life is sacred, you know. Making my cacao this morning, I had a beautiful little prayer and conversation with the cacao before we went live. I feel like my work, you know, doing healing sessions with people is very sacred, and you know, I feel honored that people trust me to come in and serve them in that way. Um, and so I'm putting it out there, right? Because this is something that I've been saying and I haven't been following through with. But I think that praying with your food before you eat it is so important. And I'm not going to lie, I get caught up in the busyness of every day and I forget to. And I met a friend for coffee this weekend and we both were talking about this. And I was like, all right, you know, we're committing to this together. We're going to pray over our food before we eat it. And I forgot. So putting it out there now, like if you see me, ask me if I prayed over my food.
I love that. I love that. You know, I think sacred for me is intention, you know, it is attention, it is mindfulness. Um I think I use the word sacred a lot because there are things in my life in my home that I consider quote unquote sacred. So sometimes it might be that I'm driving in the car and like I don't know, some Led Zeppelin song will come on and I make my children be quiet. And I'm like, this song is sacred. You must listen to this, you know, because this is important. You have to know the basics of rock and roll, right? And then, you know, books to me are sacred. People's words are sacred. You know, when I was in elementary school, I was in, well, that same school that made me take home ec. It was a private Baptist school. And in there, they taught us that, of course, the Bible was sacred. And one of the major rules, which is had ingrained in my life, is that you don't put the Bible on the floor and you don't stack other books on top of the Bible, right? Now, setting aside religion, setting aside the Bible in and of itself, I always extrapolated that to books in general. So, like in my house, you will never find a book on the floor. You will never find like a coffee mug on top of a book. I don't even break the spine, like how some people take a book and they crack the spine. To me, that is like a high level offense. I don't do that because to me, it is all sacred. So, you know, I think sacred shows up where you look for it to be, you know. If nothing is sacred, then even a human life is not important, right? Because we dispose of human beings all day, all the time, you know. Right now, as we speak, human beings are being disposed of. So, what is sacred, you know, if not what you give attention to, what you honor, what you protect, right? So, I know we can't put our attention on everything all at the same time, but what you do have the bandwidth to put attention on, that is sacred for you. So that's how I look at it. I think that's how it shows up in my life, you know?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
um, I do want to, as the healer over here, whenever I hear the word sacred, I can't not think of the sacrum and the sacred bone in our body. And I think probably almost every client that comes in, we have to give attention to the sacrum, the sacred bone. And it's almost like I don't even know, like it's the center of um, it's the center of our being in some way that I don't know that it gets the attention that it deserves out there in the world. And so I'm just going to say, everybody pay attention to your.
Well, why don't you dive into that a little bit? Tell us what and where the sacrum is and what does it do for our body?
So the sacrum is the end of your spine. It's that little triangular bone down at the bottom, and then your little coccyx tailbone is on the bottom of that. And so it is essentially what connects your spine to your pelvis, your some people call it your hip bones, so your ilium. And so yeah, it's what connects your spine to your legs. And you know, we have nerves that come off of there. Um, you know, it has the remnants of, you know, as it's forming, it's vertebrae like the rest of your spine, but then at some point in the development process, it all fuses into one solid bone.
Mm.
But yeah, it's
A lot of energy stored there. Yes.
oh yeah. Well, you know, like it's there with our sacral chakra. We'll call it the sacred chakra. There's so much in our second chakra there. Not that there's not stuff in every chakra, but I feel like it's this the sacral chakra is quite complex and possibly deserves a little more attention than it gets as well. Um, so yeah.
And another mission for the week. I love it. Very cool. Very good. Well, I'm super excited. I cannot wait for our retreat. I don't even know what we're going to talk about on the other side of that. We'll probably have tons of stories to tell. So I'm excited about
Ooh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. So,
All right. Well, short show today because we've got busy lives here. We got stuff to do, and we will see you all on the other side of the Four Elements retreat.
all right. See you guys later. See you soon.
Have a magical day, everyone.